flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Okay, Jessica, what do we got going tonight?
Thank you very much. This evening, we have a public hearing scheduled for 6 p.m. We have a number of different proposed ordinances for hearing. First up, we've been busy working on reviewing and updated ordinances with the ultimate goal of placing ordinances on our website. So part of this, we're starting up at the top, is the bicycle ordinance. The current ordinance is from 1991. The proposed ordinance before you this evening adds scooters, electric scooters, and e-bikes to this ordinance. It also extends to the area to walk from Mechanic Elm Street to Church Street and the north end of School Street. It was previously from the Main Street Bridge to Bunker Hill / Park Street. Operators must dismount bicycles in this area. The fine was increased from $5 to $10. The authority for this ordinance rests in RSA 4111, regulation use of highways. The selectmen may regulate the use of all public highways, sidewalks, and commons in their respective towns. So the select board has the authority to adopt the ordinance. That's it from my perspective. Chief, do you have anything?
No, I know with a lot of these, Kathy, you and I went over them quite a while ago. So they really haven't changed. A couple things, but nothing major. The only thing I would say with the bicycle ordinance is I know it's posted, but we'll have to update the signs and order more signs if this ordinance passes through you guys. Bless you.
Now open for public. Thank you.
Do I need to open public hearing or should I do that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, open public hearing.
At this time, I'd like to open a public hearing. Do we take roll call? Yes. We don't take roll call.
Yeah, I think so, because you already.
Okay, so we're open.
Anybody wishing to speak?
Anybody in the audience would like to speak about?
Aaron Taylor, 20 Brook Road. I noticed the changes are in red. Like a track changes type of thing. So just wondering what the reason to extend, from the current to all the way down, past the library and all the way down there. Just as a parent with younger kids, I'd rather have my kids on the sidewalk than in the road, for safety reasons. And I guess the other question is, we've got scooters, electric scooters, e-bikes, but not rollerblades, hoverboards, power wheels. I mean, it just seems kind of arbitrary of what we're picking for things that can and can't go, right? So kind of looking for, and I guess the final overarching is where's the data that is saying we need to change this? That's all. Thank you. Okay.
Claims. I took. I don't have. But I say a half a dozen. Of people with these e-bikes, I guess they're called. Almost hitting people, zooming by them on the sidewalk. That was the biggest that I've heard. As far as extending that up further, it just seems that in talking to those people, that's when a lot of that was occurring there as well. From the post office, people trying to get into the post office, bikes going in by, stuff like that. That's my.
Sure, no, that makes sense. And it really makes sense right in town where you're coming out of a store or something.
Yep.
Just further down, it's a long way for a little kid to to having to walk their bike way down to, past the park. It seems like a long way.
Okay, yep. Robert.
Can I ask John a question?
Sure.
Don't bicycle regulations fall under traffic laws?
Yes,
So,
so technically bikes should be ridden in the road, following traffic and hand signals, and
yep,
all of that stuff by law anyway. So I don't disagree with, I wouldn't want a young child driving, especially right here in this one block with cars backing out, but, yes, technically bicycle operators are required to follow the rules of the road.
Do hoverboards and skateboards fit in that same category as following traffic? Is that why they're not included?
I don't, think so. First they talks about, and yeah,
Well, it does include, like segways and scooters that are.
right,
motorized.
motorized type stuff, yeah. But just like a skateboard, or I don't, say hoverboard, my mind goes to Back to the Future. So,
I
Uh-huh.
know, well, they got the ones that have the gyros, that you've probably
Right.
seen them on the sidewalks, the kids, it's two wheels.
Oh, gotcha, yeah, okay,
Forward, you
yeah.
go back, the
Yep.
hoverboard.
Yes, now I know what you're talking about.
I think that would have the same effect with somebody getting run into them. Else.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Like to talk about it on the budget? Seeing that, we'll move on to the next.
Moving up, next up is the disorderly actions ordinance. The disorderly actions ordinance is based on New Hampshire RSA 644-2 that prohibits disrupting the public peace, safety, or order in public spaces. It typically authorizes police to penalize activities like violent behavior, excessive noise, and creating hazardous conditions, blocking traffic, or refusing lawful orders to disperse. If we do not have a local ordinance and we find someone, the monies go to the state. If we have an ordinance, those penalties stay with the town. The authority rests under New Hampshire RSA 3139 and regulating noise. This is a hearing tonight and will be voted on during town meeting on March 10th. Chief, anything from your end?
Not really, I mean, a few of these stuff you'll see where it talks about, fines and stuff like that coming to the town. The law does allow for the town to take certain violation level offenses, which in New Hampshire violations are not crimes. Misdemeanors and felonies are, but it allows the town, gives you the authority to ordinance those, and then any potential fines that come from those comes to the town instead of to the state, like Jessica said. It's not a way, I'm not, and I've always said this from day one, I'm not a revenue generator. That's not my goal, and that's not the intent of this in any way, shape, or form. But what it could do is keep people out of court, maybe, at the lowest level possible, handling it that way. Instead of bringing somebody into court, maybe that will correct the issue before it gets to that level of having to go to court.
The town does have a noise ordinance. This replace that,
This will cover that. So,
that one that we should get rid of. There is a noise ordinance.
It's a separate proposed ordinance this evening.
is there, yeah, noise in open container is a different one, so.
Anybody from the public would like to comment on that?
Sorry, that's. And 20 for. So. If you look at the ordinance, the bicycle ordinance in section 2 said this ordinance shall upon conviction be liable. This ordinance starts out with a person shall be guilty of disorderly, like right from the beginning. I guess my question is, what's the avenue of redress? If you're guilty of a law rather than this civil citation, it's pretty spelled out what you would do to defend yourself. But this says, it looks like it says from the jump, a person shall be guilty of disorderly actions without any conviction or anything like that. Just the language of it is problematic to me. And some of the other, there's no decibel. So it's weird, this disorderly one that talks about loud and noise is not the noise ordinance. That there's a lot of loud, speaking of loud and unreasonable noises in public spaces, that I guess falls under disorderly, but it's not noise. But I think to me it's confusing. Is it noise or disorderly? Maybe it's both, but there's no decibel. It seems it relies on some kind of reasonable level of noise, which seems could be subjective and problematic to fairly adjudicate with the officer and stuff.
I may.
One guy to another.
So how disorderly statute and intent and all of that with the court is, if you're being loud, enough to bother another person of their sense, of average sensibilities, regardless of what that noise is, that's what it is. There's no decibel limit anywhere in it that you'll find in any RSA where they talk about decibels, nor do we have what decibel meter to be able to sit there and measure the level of noise. It is subjective in that if you're at your house, but you're, at not 10 o'clock at night, blasting music to the point where the neighbor next door or two houses down, that's too much. If they're calling to say, I can't sleep, I can't hear my, or whatever the complaint is about that level of noise, that's too much, and we're gonna respond and ask that person to quiet it down. So it falls under a person of reasonable sensibilities. There is no decibel limit. It's based on, are you annoying something else? I know annoying is probably not the right word to use, but is the level of noise bothering others in a way that disrupts their daily actions or what they're trying to do? That's how it's basically written.
And this one goes into this, like, explosives or so, if at my house out east on Brook Road, if I were to, I had room enough, right, to shoot off and do some target practice, would that fall under the disturbance?
It depends on, like, if you're doing it 2 a.m,
Oh, for sure.
I think yes. But if you're doing it, so we had a resident in town, he had a range in his backyard. He would always notify his neighbors, hey, I'm gonna be shooting from this time to this time, as a courtesy. And that way, if they said, well, we have this going, they would always work together. He never did it late at night or super early in the morning, so again, that's gonna be determined on the time of day for something in that case, of gunman.
Thank you, Chief. And then finally, the avenue of redress. Should I disagree with your assessment of annoying someone or not? What's my avenue?
Everybody, if somebody's given a town ordinance citation, everybody has the right to go to the court and file and basically plead not guilty to it, just like any other case. And then we'll have a hearing and the judge will make a determination on whether or not that ordinance was violated.
So the judge hears the civil matter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, if I recall, we used to have an establishment in town and we used to get complaints about it quite regularly. And sat outside, and outside of the building, it was not an issue. More of an issue, I believe, of sound traveling through sewer pipes and stuff, and made it sound worse in the house than what was actually going on in the street. And that business was not cited because the reasonableness of it was the sound was not traveling outside of the building.
I think the pipe was amplifying it.
Yeah, sounds like it. And so there is some reasonableness, and I believe some would take a reasonable approach
Yeah,
on noise.
My recommendation would be just for so people don't get confused, if you're able to take some of this noise language out of the disorderly and put it in the noise, it might live better in the noise ordinance than the disturbance ordinance.
Anybody else would like to say anything about the ordinance? Okay.
Thank you very much. Next up is the drug paraphernalia ordinance. It's important to note that this proposed ordinance prohibits the advertisement of paraphernalia. There is another proposed ordinance this evening, which is related to public display for sale. This is a hearing tonight and will be voted on during town meeting on March 10. Chief, do you have anything to add?
So this is quite simply, this is not for drugs. If somebody has drugs, a quantifiable amount, measurable amount, then that's gonna be covered under RSA 318. That's a felony. We can't touch that. Marijuana has been changed to a violation, so a small amount of marijuana could be a violation of the town ordinance, as well as paraphernalia as it states. So somebody has a pot pipe or, another type of some kind, it's just paraphernalia with no quantifiable measure of narcotics, they can be issued a citation for the ordinance citation for that. Which the fine for that's $100 plus penalty assessment, so it's $124.
Anybody like to speak on that?
Well, I have it.
Robert?
So, I guess that what distinguishes the illegality of the
What?
paraphernalia? Like, if I go to the smoke shop
Mhm.
and I go get a glass tobacco pipe,
Mhm.
that's what they sell it as? Does it have to have residue to be
Yes.
illegal?
So once you smoke any type of narcotic through it, that
Okay.
residue makes that item drug paraphernalia. So you're absolutely right. You go down to Isha's and buy a bong, buy a pipe, buy whatever you want, and it's absolutely legal, but the instant you put a narcotic through it, that residue makes it a illegal drug paraphernalia.
That's good.
All right, next is the noise and open container ordinance. The current unnecessary noise ordinance was signed on September 18th, 1993. The ordinance before you this evening is for public spaces, including schools, sidewalks, parking lots, and common spaces in apartment buildings or hotels. It is not limited to certain times. The authority for this rests under RSA 3139. This is a hearing tonight. It will be voted on right after town meeting. Chief.
So basically, walking down the street with an open container of alcohol is not okay in any civilized society, in my opinion. That's why we're, updating this to make it current, and that's pretty much that, pretty simple.
Would you like to speak to that?
Just a question, is that already against logic or no?
It's, I'd have to, well,
It's transport.
the transporting is in a motor vehicle. So that's different than just walking down the street, so.
There is public intoxication, right?
Public intoxication falls under protective custody. But the actual open container, just walking down this road with an open container, there's no that I can think of right off the top of my head, an actual law against that, but there is, that's why we
It
create.
does seem okay.
Yeah, so you would think, but the big one, like Robin mentioned, that's transporting alcohol, and you can't have an open container of alcohol in a motor vehicle. Unless it's secured in the trunk or something like that, not within reach of it. That falls into the motor vehicle RSA.
All right. Anything else? Okay. You guys are done?
Okay, next up is the prohibiting the public display or solicitation of certain psychoactive substances. For folks who may not understand, kratom naturally is a tree leaf from Southeast Asia. The product sold today in convenience stores does not resemble this traditional product. The chemicals behave pharmacologically like opioids. More modern kratom products far exceeded the potency from the kratom leaf, and the products sold in convenience stores can be sold to anyone regardless of age. The proposed ordinance also includes other substances and is focused on prohibiting the public display for sale of such substances. This is simply a hearing tonight and will be voted on during town meeting on March 10th.
I will defer to Eric Becker on this one.
All right.
Simply in the public good for Lancaster. Over the last year and a half, I've encountered instances that I honestly found laughable that certain things were fully legal for sale. One, which is sold legally, it is illegal to sell for recreational use. But stores are selling it in massive containers, flavored nitrous that is not being used to bake a cake. But that is the loophole that is being used. And while, the powers that be, the FDA, et cetera, need to figure that out, we obviously have the right to, make our community safe. The same goes for kratom. 7-OH kratom is one of the worst derivatives out there. It is currently being sold the times can be 10 to 20 times more open, morphine interacts with the same receptors in the brain that cause opiate overdose through respiratory depression. And again, these loopholes, like I have a 5-year-old son, they don't let him anywhere near the store on Main Street. There's no need for this to be going on. And I think that, while the state's trying to, is now starting to look at that, make it something with 21 and up or something like that. I think, in the public good, removing those loopholes until something is figured out, I think it's prudent. It's not a situation where there's any reasonable expectations of experience like we might have with alcohol. There's a universal language around alcohol. We know what alcohol by volume is. Everything's labeled, it's standardized. We don't have that with what is considered a supplement. Everyone has, but what was for you?
And I will add on to that, that we have dealt with people that are taking nitrous, and kratom. It definitely alters the mental state. It's not a good experience for anybody involved in trying to deal with somebody that's been using these substances. Eric will tell you, we dealt with it a few times, so definitely support this ordinance.
And I just want to add there that at that time there were two institutions selling this in town. The one on Bridge Street, when they found out about this, pulled it because they, want to act in the public best interest.
Anybody else would like to speak? Cal? The place downtown does still carry it, is that correct?
Correct, and they have the 708 freedom.
It's crazy. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you very much. Next is the stopping standing parking ordinance. The current parking ordinance was signed on December 2nd, 1991. The proposed ordinance in front of you this evening allows each officer to issue violations, establishes an updated fine schedule, allows for towing vehicles as necessary, and includes an updated carve-out to establish routine maintenance times for public parking areas. The authority rests in RSA 4111. As such, the select board has the authority to adopt the ordinance. Anything from you?
Big thing is just, again, updating policy, obviously, I think 1991 on this one. Bringing everything up current, which also, this policy addresses municipal parking and having people leave so that the town crew can get in there and clean it, maintain it, whatever. As it stands out, like specifically Bunker Hill, town crew cannot get in there and clean that up. It's an absolute mess. So this is a long time needed to update this ordinance.
Same question, all the way in front of page 2, all the way on the parking signs. There's the last one, other violations. And I was just thinking that seemed very ambiguous, and it's kind of like, so could be subjective. It's kind of like, we don't know, the public need to know like what we could possibly be fined for. It just seems like other is kind of like, could be determined by whoever's on duty that day. So that was my one concern with that. And I guess other question I had is, I don't know how to ask this. I know I watched I think it was the last meeting they were talking about the municipal parking lot off of Bunker Hill, and I know that the snow and hard time cleaning it up. I'm just also wondering about Main Street parking, and it's awesome that we have the Main Street filled with residential apartments in both sides of the street, but where the merchants are struggling with parking because especially on the east side of Main Street, the majority of those apartments don't have dedicated parking. And so a lot of folks are parking long-term during the day on Main Street. I know Jessica knows that myself and other merchants have been in touch with her for the last couple of years. Like, what do they do, how, we don't order, like, just Monday, there was an example of a person that parked for 5 hours, prime parking right in front of our marketplace, who just lived right upstairs. And I know it's hard because you want people to be able to access their homes, but we also need people being able to access our stores, our bakeries, our restaurants. And just wondering if there's something we could do, expand or add to this. And I don't know what the answers are. I have suggestions, but I don't, if there's something that we could add to this about things in the street. I mean, there's even just another example. Last year, there was a red truck that had been parked for like weeks. Was there I got there, 9:30, it was there after 6:30 at night, it was there all day. I got to put right and put a piece of gum behind one of the tires to see if it was leaving. Come to find out it was actually a person that was working night. But because they work nights, they were just parked in, prime parking spots for our merchants all day long. So just wanted to see if there was something that could be added to this. And so I guess one last thing.
Yep.
The park. I know that last year, it came up about the events at the park, with the band concerts, farmers market, rock in the park. And I don't see anything on this ordinance about parking, in the park. So I just didn't know, and that seems like that should be on there and not something separate.
I'll address a couple points as far as the Main Street parking. Jessica and I have talked about this numerous times based on citizen complaints. It's logistically a nightmare to try to control who parks on Main Street because it is public parking. The town used to have meters, but logistically, the cost of putting them in, maintaining them, emptying them, I don't think risk reward on that for the cost benefit is right. I don't know what the right answer is as far as, or if there even is an answer for the Main Street parking and controlling how long somebody parks there. That's a difficult.
Well, I just want to mention one thing that, because all of these buildings that were repurposed received federal money. One of the conditions that we had at the times when we talked about approving their site plans was that the landowners or the landlords were supposed to put a restriction clause in their leases. The unfortunate thing is we don't have enforceability of their lease clauses. So, I've been trying to rethink how we could revisit those site plans to see if we could figure this out. But, that's a discussion. Maybe we need to have you and Magda and Deb all come in and say something to planning board asking us to review.
Biggest restriction on parking on Main Street is during winter. They do have to move so the streets can be cleared. And I can remember coming down and towing several vehicles. Not only have to do that kind of work. Well, thank God I don't anymore, but yeah, unfortunate that 22, but what we're seeing in the Bunker Hill parking lot this year, it might be the only resource we have. That's a math, and we're having a real winter. Some winters it might not be a problem, but it's a problem this year.
Okay, anybody else?
Now, do you remember when we had parking meters? And someone wisely removed them?
Well, they were done with one selectman that wanted to park in front of his real estate office, he didn't want to walk in the parking lot. He had to give the 2 hour parking on Main Street, no one need 2 hour. That's the 2 hour parking. This is too far. Folks, if they say you off the street, they don't wear over 2 hours. With the exception of what if somebody goes to the restaurant, gets something to eat and goes and watches a movie, now you're over 2 hours. Well. So maybe we need to consider a different amount of time. Like the one, maximum length of time of the movie. I'm talking about eating and a movie. Well. Yeah, some movies are 2.5 hours long. So that's just another food for thought in that. I'm not against it, I'm just putting out a food for thought. Take care of the ones that you know, talking all day long. So you can't target one individual and not another. So if we're gonna create the ordinance to target the one person that parks all day long, that's not the reason to create an ordinance.
Yeah. And the parking meters were actually removed, it wasn't only the one, but there were several vendors there. People, stores. What? If they every now and then, they'd walk down and if someone had an expired meter, they'd give them a ticket for $5. And again, when we looked at it, the cost of maintaining the meters and what we were getting out of parking fines didn't even cover the maintenance of the meters. The town was actually losing money by having parking meters. They just got to the point where they did not make sense. Now,
That's funny, losing them. And they enforce them. Melissa?
Just two thoughts, just two other suggestions on the. Was that you could have a certain, as an example, like 2 hour parking Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or something like that, or 3 hours or whatever it would be. Or you could have residential parking, no residential parking between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday, or something like that. Like you could do it that way. And I think that having ordinance, we're not even, I know Deb and I are always like, well, we tell people to move. But we can't tell people to move now if there's no ordinance. I mean, I've even like put, little gift cards on people's windshield and be like, hey, would you give them some gift coupons? So like, I can't tell them obviously not to move, but even like putting some sort of like, have it be residential, certain time period, or, you could do, it doesn't have to be 2 hours at all, something.
The residential thing will cause issue because someone's gonna have to buy stickers for those residents to show that they are a resident. Because how are we gonna know that they're a resident without some identifier on the vehicle? I don't disagree with the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, whatever. It's not a bad idea, but the resident thing brings up other issues of how do we identify.
I think Littleton has something similar for their municipal parking. But again, even that requires those residents to move their vehicles at certain.
Anybody else would like to?
Is this, an ordinance or a rewrite?
Update.
This is an update.
What's the vote? Like Jessica said, the last one was signed in
1991.
1991.
That's been in effect. It's just the stuff that is in red is new.
The items that are in red should be the items that are new. I'm not sure how this is, let me just do it. No, so this one, the items that are in red have been updated since the first time it was published. So there was a select board meeting, they asked to carve out municipal lot management, so that clause was added.
Okay, so there could be new stuff different from the 91
Yes,
that isn't easily identifiable in this.
correct. It did not have a fee schedule, so on and so forth.
Okay. Can I just recommend that if you bring this to the town, we use like a track changes so we can see the difference between what the current ordinance is and what the proposed new is? Because it's difficult to do the Easter egg hunt, trying to put two documents together and.
Do we have those
Just use-
old ordinances in the Word to be able to track?
We don't.
you just
But,
use track changes.
We don't have it in Word, but I can give you the 1991 scan copy.
The 1991 is not in Word format, so the
Okay, moving forward, right,
Right.
we're probably using editing software. I just think best practice moving forward, it might be nice for the public to be able to see what's actually being changed. The other question I had was in section 8A. Towards the end of the sentence, it says, and with the curbside wheels of the vehicle within 12 inches of the edge of the roadway. I'm just trying to get my. Where you want me to be 12 inches from.
So that way you're not, so if you
Yes,
pull at the curb and you're parked here.
I agree, I think it should say curb and not roadway. Because 12 inches between the edge of the road.
Gotcha, okay, nope,
I just.
good catch.
My, confused.
That's good catch.
That has been an issue a few times where people, 2 feet back from the curb and
Well, and I think right here down by the Ford garage, right, there's a couple spots on the right-hand side of the road where even if you're at the curb, you might be in the road.
Tight spots, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanted to say one more thing about, parking, that one of my goals this year is to, get some grant money for a townwide parking study. So that might provide some options for us.
anybody else?
A question for Robin.
Yeah.
Back to the federal money for the residents in the commercial residential. How would that ever be enforced by the feds or the funding agency of those? Like, would that work?
Well, that was the whole problem. It couldn't be enforced. And it couldn't be enforced by the town either. So,
Like, are we liable, is town liable for taking that money even though we have no enforcement?
well, the demolition money is what all, 3 of the buildings had, which does put us on the hook. Because we had to verify all of their eligible expenditures and, you know, that's how we got reimbursed. So, I've been trying to find a way how we could word it that we're basically indemnifying the town, but putting them on. Don't know where to go with that yet, so. If you accept federal funds, I think that they should be following rules that we put down through the planning board. And that's what I think we could say is, provided that you have accepted federal funds, you shall,
You need to know this is
Right,
a requirement.
yes. Yep.
Anybody else? Seeing none?
Sorry, I came in late. Did we discuss to the extent, are there some of these that duplicate a state ordinance, but just make it local?
Already been discussed, yes,
Big part,
yes.
which ones?
So the disorderly is covered under the state law, but we can make it disorderly. Ordinance, the disorderly actions, drug paraphernalia, noise falls under disorderly, could be one of either or. Yeah, so those basically are the two big ones.
What you missed about that was, even though they are duplicative, what the fines end up being, able to stay locally rather than go.
Well, I understand that, but
Okay.
say, how many disorderly actions have we, when we had to prosecute in the last year? Like
I don't,
100 or 10?
no, it's not. Disorderly, I mean, It's not a big number.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at, okay, to duplicate it at the local level, when it's already in place at the state level, just to collect a fine.
No,
And-
and that's one of the things, I'm not trying to cut you off, but that's one of the things you mentioned earlier. Go ahead, please.
Because we might have something else you need explained. So, last year, I think the police department brought in $47,000 or $50,000 in fines on a budget of 1.3 million. And so I don't see where, getting to collect it locally is even meaningful. It's not an amount that I think really counts, and to have, so what would happen if there was a disorderly action and you would write a ticket, and then if we had a local ordinance and it went to court and the person paid the fine, it would go to us. I mean, you still write the same ticket, right?
No,
So you have two ticket books, like a state book and a,
no, so if it goes to court, it's done on a criminal complaint. Okay, it's just town ordinance ticket.
so town ordinance is a civil complaint?
Basically,
Yeah, sorry for it. Seemed like I don't understand. So if the disorderly action ordinance we have locally is a civil complaint, is the state ordinance a criminal complaint or?
so violations in the state of New Hampshire are not crimes. They're not crimes.
Okay,
Misdemeanors and felonies are crimes in the state of New Hampshire.
so the term is violation.
It's a violation level offense. The law allows the town, the select board, as you said, you were late, to take certain violation level offenses and make them town ordinance. I am not here as chief of police, and the police department's not here as a revenue generator for the town. But if we can handle something at the lowest level possible, where they don't have to go to court and they don't get a conviction on that can potentially show up on a criminal record, why not do this?
So if you were ticketed for disorderly conduct,
It's not a ticket, it's a criminal complaint.
if it was a criminal,
You are
if it was a citation,
You are arrested. That's what's gonna happen. If we don't create these ordinances and create these tickets, if somebody's disorderly, they're going to get arrested.
you're gonna get away.
Arrested.
Okay, yes.
So this keeps them from being arrested, brought down to the police department, booked, bailed, and given a court date where if they take the town ordinance, that's the avenue that we end up going with. They can obviously go to the court and say, hey, I want my day in court. 'Cause everybody has the right to a day in court. That's our constitutional right. And the court will have a hearing, and the judge will make a determination on whether or not the ordinance was violated. Or they could just pay the fine and be done with it, and there's nothing on their record.
So a citation could be paid locally and take care of, just like if you get a traffic ticket, you,
Like a parking ticket.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
that's all good. So, what are the other administrative costs of having a bunch of local ones? Or do? So you would be writing a citation either way if someone was disorderly, whether there was a town ordinance or a state ordinance.
Again, no. If it's a town ordinance, yes, I'm gonna write a citation. If it's a state law, I'm going to arrest you.
Okay, so you still do it, the town still does it, but it's an arrest if it's a state violation, and, okay, and so, my question is it worth doing, passing all of these different ordinances and having that gives two parallel systems that for not much revenue? And I understand you're introducing different things, but the main argument was, well, we get money from, if we write a law.
No, because
I saw it in the paper or somewhere. I
you
saw
might sing it somewhere, but it's not the.
These ordinances have been in place for years.
Yeah, Robin just said the same thing. The difference is we get the money locally, so.
Yeah, but I didn't focus that was the goal.
No, I'm just wondering, is it material, the amount of money that we get? Is that enough to convince us to do it? So we're not naked if we don't pass these things because there are state limits.
Here,
I think the argument can be made that you'd be saving money by not deploying officers to chase these through the criminal justice system.
Say that again?
So I think the good argument here is that you're not wasting people's time and resources chasing a low-level offense through the criminal justice system when you could simply write the ordinance ticket.
So what you're getting at, and I think I understand what you're saying here. If I arrest somebody and that has to go to court, and that officer has to come in on their off time.
Yeah.
To testify and do the court thing, we're paying them overtime. So there's a big cost to that. Where going this avenue, we potentially could be saving money by not having to do the whole court process.
So if I park too far from the curb and this ordinance was in place, you'd cite me, but you wouldn't arrest me. But how would that save you time? Don't you still have to write a ticket and then there's some procedure that I have to go through to?
I think I just explained it, Rob. You're going to court.
Right. So for citation, you do not go to court?
Unless the person issued the citation decides not to pay the citation and wants to go to court.
So if they don't,
They just pay the
they
citation.
don't plead guilty, they can choose to go to court?
Yes.
Okay.
I did say that.
So for minor things, probably easier, just not, I understand what you're saying now. You're clarified, I appreciate it.
The two-player, and I know we talked about this the last time. These ordinances was written, Attorney Roberts wrote these for us back when she was prosecuting for us, so these were written by a lawyer with lawyer's eyes, so. In a lot of towns, I think vast majority of the towns across the state have these ordinances in place.
Answering with what the well.
Okay, I guess we're good there. Jessica?
Next up is a petitioned article for social districts. Anyone here to speak on that?
I'll speak on it.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Daniel Owen, 14 First Street, Lancaster, New Hampshire. I'm the one who put forward the petition. It would basically allow the town to create social districts, which would essentially allow anyone with a liquor license to serve a little bit of alcohol in a plastic cup and be able to walk out on sidewalks in a designated area known as a social district. We'd be able to drink outside, basically. New Hampshire passed that into law, I think it was September 2025. The towns haven't got a chance to vote on it yet. We're putting in concert and moving forward with it now. It's been really successful in other states, North Carolina. I guess that's what the bill is modeled after. Other states have seen other success, so I figured that would be interesting thing here. I know a lot of.
Yeah, so this is new to me, when Jessica reached out to me about this, I did some research, I had no idea what a social district was, I will say, in my research and what I'm seeing on the social districts, larger municipalities, sure, makes sense, they have square blocks of clubs and restaurants and stuff like, we don't have that, so allowing somebody to walk out of things, and we have to start stopping. So let's use smoking teas and walk down the street and go to Scorpios. That's a long way. I don't see the benefit in that for, I mean, if they want to fence off an area on the sidewalk with liquor commission approval, that's governed under liquor commission, but allowing somebody to go have dinner at Smoking Teas, get your drink in a plastic cup, and then walk down Main Street to wherever, yeah, that's a huge social district, if you will. And I don't think we have enough establishments that serve alcohol to justify it. Again, larger cities that have a bunch of clubs, bars, restaurants, all in a city block area where you go, sure, makes absolute sense to me. But in a town like Lancaster, I don't see the benefit of that.
Yeah, I have another question. When you leave
one establishment by New Hampshire liquor laws, you cannot take a beverage into another establishment. So I understand the state legislature passed this. And I agree with John, it makes sense if you have a large area, but they have not answered the question on, okay, if I can walk outside and take, I cannot take that beverage into another establishment. I mean, at the VFW post, you can't bring a soda in your house because there's no way to know whether that soda has liquor in it or not. There's still some refinement, I believe the state legislature needs to do to the social district legislation. And the liquor commission themselves are going to have to say, okay, you can go from establishment to establishment and take your beverage inside. It makes no sense to have them walk out of one establishment, walk down to the other one, and stand out on the sidewalk and drink their beverage.
And I mean, piggyback on that, you know, smoking, I go into Smoking Teas, have my dinner, I get a beer to go. I walk down to Scorpio's, they're not gonna want me going in there with alcohol they did not sell me. They're there to make money. So they don't want me coming in with outside alcohol because that's a loss of profit to them. I don't see businesses supporting this that well. I would be surprised. So. Rob?
Do social districts just relate to the consumption of alcohol, or are there other, or do you write the ordinance and then it contains like no smoking or, you know?
But I mean, the town could vote to approve social districts, but then the town would also have to approve
An error.
an area. I mean, given the post and the fact that we have to deal, I'd love that to be a social district, but does it qualify because it's not walking down the street? It's, you know, going out back. And again, idea behind the social district is to be able to travel from one club to another club. And from what I read, you can't do that with a beverage. What's did you have your name?
Yeah, I guess, so my question is, so this would be on public space going, the idea is that it would be, so wouldn't that be opening up the town for liability? Or if and.
It has the potential for that.
Well, I also think that it's contradictory to, Leon mentioned the liquor laws. If you were to have outdoor seating that allowed to have alcohol, that has to be fenced in. You're not supposed to have visibility of what they're doing. The barriers are supposed to be high enough that you're basically drinking behind it. So that walking down the street just doesn't mesh. So.
Can a social district also include like First Street, Second Street, and Third Street, or does there have to be a licensed business there? I mean, could there be an ordinance, social district, like in the case of you're sort of a residential community, so anyone could go around in there, or it's restricted to commercial?
Theoretically, you could do that, and potentially new businesses could open up and serve alcohol in that district. I think that's more of what the idea of it is, more to attract more business.
Related to commercial, so.
But district itself is regulated by the board. They decide where the district is gonna be.
Anybody else got anything, man?
That is it for the public hearings for proposed ordinances.
Okay,
To
close the public hearing and resume back to a selectmen meeting.
Next up is department head updates. Rob?
I have nothing to report. I've just been working on drafting things and ending the year, moving forward.
Pretty much the same. Returning back to status quo for a lot of year-end reporting.
Barbara,
The library trustees are beginning to look at issues that when the building is nearing 30 years old, we're going to have to deal with. For instance, one of the issues that we're dealing with this year is updating all of the fire smoke alarms, because we've had a couple calls that were unnecessary because they weren't working. That probably we can take out of this year's budget. The bigger item we're beginning to look at is the fact that our air handling system, the handling both the heating and cooling, is coming on 30 years. And at some point in the not too distant future, there are 6 controllers that are part of that system that will have to be replaced. The system we have now is now obsolete. Probably cannot be fixed, and so anything that happens has to be fixed. So that's what we're really looking at now, trying to figure out how long we have, what cost that kind of thing would be in order to have. The bond for the building will be paid off next year.
thank you so much. You have,
Take a look. You're welcome. Good evening. So we'll start off with standard stuff. Since the last meeting of January 20th, we've had 570 calls for service. 5 motor vehicle crashes, 143 motor vehicle stops, and 11 arrests. Same time period, last year, we had 508 calls for service, 10 motor vehicle crashes, 147 stops, and 20 arrests. Year to date so far, 2026, we've had 929 calls for service, 14 motor vehicle crashes, 252 stops, and 21 arrests. Make that 22 because when I came here, Officer Trevero was currently had somebody in custody. So we're at 22 as of right now.
Okay.
Year to date, 2025, same time frame, we had 836 calls for service, 17 crashes, 259 motor vehicle stops, and 31 arrests. So pretty much right in the ballpark, staying where we are, which is good. Cruiser 1, the K9 Explorer has 16,355 miles. Cruiser 2, the 2021 Explorer has 91,508 miles. Cruiser 4, the 2019 Explorer, I realized last meeting I gave you the wrong number. I reported at 118. I must have typoed or something because current mileage is actually 116,725. So 2,000 less than what I reported last month. I apologize for that. And Cruiser 5, the 2023 Explorer has 72,462 miles. All are doing pretty well. The heater blower vent in Cruiser 4 today went out. So Tom will look at that tomorrow and let me know. But otherwise, all the cruisers are in good shape. We conducted a PT test for applicants a couple weeks ago. 3 people showed up, which was really good to see, and all 3 passed. So that was very good to see. We have an oral interview board scheduled on the 25th. Lieutenant Matthews will head that up. I spoke to Jessica a little while back. I signed up for it. It was free to sign up for, but I signed up for the National Night Out. It's an annual law enforcement, community-based type event. I used to do it when I worked in Brooklyn. We did National Night Out. It's the first Tuesday of August every year. It's just a big community event that we could host to bring people together. It's a good time. My only question is, I know Barry Coulter does his big event in July, which is similar, but not obviously up there at the fairgrounds. So I don't know if we're going to step on his toes or not. So it's just some things we got to look into.
Is that the big rig event?
So Larry does the, I have the email, but I forget what he calls it, but
First responder.
yeah.
He started that, kind of did an event here one year for Feature Hometown Heroes is what we called it.
Yeah.
But he started that, kind of mirrors the same thing, except I think his is more of a regional approach.
Yeah, he brings other, right. And one of my thoughts was if we do move forward with National Night Out, I'm going to talk to Chief Hodgson You know, Lancaster, Whitefield, we're pretty much intertwined, all the kids go to school together. I don't see an issue with combining the two PDs and doing this event together. I think that would be a good idea. So more to come on that. We're working on that. MDTs and the cruisers, as you know, we have 4. They're getting old. They're about 8 or so, maybe older, years old, and they're starting to have connectivity issues, other issues. It's just not working as well as they should, which is normal for computers as they get old to go kaput. So I reached out to the most awesomeness, Miss Robin, and we applied for a grant. So we're waiting on approval, but it's an 80-20 split for 4 new MDTs, install brackets, mounting everything from the get-go. And then the printers that are in the cruisers, that grant is also under that, but those are 100% covered. So we would, if we're approved and we get this, our money on the dollar is cheap money overall to update our MDTs and our printers. So I don't have an exact number, but overall the cost is 30-something thousand, not counting the printers.
Yeah, it's 34 with a
Yeah.
match of just under 9.
Is it just under 9?
Yeah.
So,
Our match.
yeah.
How old are they, John?
We've had them since I've been here. I've been here 8 years.
The other part of that money though is I also asked for additional overtime patrol money, so they've doubled what they normally give us.
Thank you.
When will we hear back on that grant? do you think?
We've gotten it. It's
Yay.
I just put the public hearing notice. It'll be published Friday. So at the next meeting, you guys can accept it unanticipated and sign the contract.
Have the $9,000 hard match built into the budget somehow, so this doesn't come out of capital reserve, right?
Like built into the budget? No. I did not budget for this because I just learned of this grant not even a month ago. So I did not build this
You
in.
find it in your budget, so we're not tapping capital reserve. Well, you have till the public hearing.
I can try.
Good job.
I will do my best. So, all right, AMDG is a consulting company. I've reached out to them. It's the guy that owns it's a retired chief of police. He's gonna come in later this month, sit down and help me bring our policies and forms and everything up to date to what's considered COLIA standards, which is the pinnacle of standards for law enforcement. Overall, this is something I've been working on since I took over, updating our policies and bringing them up to date and working with Jessica, trying to get everything current, up to date. And this would be, doing this is going to be real good because it will bring us to the pinnacle of standards for our policies, which is policies are what we use to enforce everything. So very much needed.
Do you have a contract with them, or how much is that?
It was 1,200 or 1,500? 1,200. Yes.
Great.
And yes, I have that in the budget. Yes, ma'am. Last, my furnace was inspected. It's 40 years old. It's still working. It's not red line, but we do need to start thinking about replacing it. The parts, according to the guy that came in and looked at it, they don't make parts for that furnace anymore. So we need to put that on our tickler. Just putting that out there.
Just a note for that, this was an inspector through Primex who inspected all of the properties. There were 2 properties found to be deficient. One was the police, and then the other one, there was a sensor that he didn't like how it looked, so we're calling in the plumbers to get that.
Also, the police department.
No, here at the town, also new system, yeah.
Oh, this is probably.
He was, yeah, so I may end up sending a note to supervisor about,
Interesting.
yeah. That's it.
I think that's all I have. Yes.
Okay. Chief Flynn has provided you his report this evening. In 2026, so far, there has been 66 911 calls, 104 transfers for a total of 170. In 2025, there were 69 911 calls, 117 transfers for a total of 186. They had 131 requests for transfers, and they were able to take about 104 of them. The rest were turned down due to staffing, and because folks were already on the road with other transfers at the time of these requests. The ladder truck will be going in for repair on the 19th, this Thursday. You see on the EMS vehicles mileage, and you'll also see our health and safety hours for the month was 22 hours versus 4, as well as the locations for service. From recreation, they have the ladies volleyball league going on, and the Spanish class is looking at hosting another session. They just had their 4 big basketball tournaments. They had 6 3-4 girls teams and 13 3-4 boys teams, and 11 for both 5 and 6 tournaments. They also had their father-daughter dance on Sunday and had about 112 people. Valentine's Day.
In an alibi, I did provide you guys with our numbers for number of offenses for 26 and same time frame 2025.
Yeah.
Just so you can see that. Yes.
Anything from you?
No, well, no, I'm good.
That's it. Next up is the review of minutes. I have the February 2nd, 2026 regular meeting minutes.
Get a motion for minutes, make a motion to approve the minutes, all in favor? Aye.
Not yet. I had one more thing to say.
Can I ask the minutes, what was it for all 4 sets of minutes?
It was just the February 2nd regular meeting.
Just do it February 2nd, sorry, I'm a little deaf.
Next up is the February 4th, 2026. There's public minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the February 4th public minutes as presented.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a comment that that's an unnoticed meeting. There was no notice for that meeting. That was Wednesday the 4th, right? It's not on the calendar. It's not on resident notices. So what's up with it?
Oh, it was posted at the library and the town hall.
You have to have it somewhere that's 24 hours access. Neither one of those places. So.
Actually, that's incorrect.
Yeah, that's not correct. Well, why didn't it show up on the meeting calendar as the resident notice? That's what I'm asking.
It is also on the meeting calendar.
Huh?
It's on the meeting calendar.
No, not for Wednesday. Wasn't this morning. You know, there are rules about having meetings without noticing. And did you go in to have a public meeting first and then you went into non-public session, or? That's the way they're conducted. Yeah. Right. So if it was a public meeting, it should have been noticed, right? And it was noticed legally by the requirements that we have. And again, you're supposed to be consistent in your noticing. That's one of the rules. Can't like bury it in the library in the town hall. When you usually put it on the calendar, you usually. They go on the calendar when we're able to get them on the calendar. There's no law that says they will be online. It says they will be posted at least 24 hours prior to a meeting in a public location. Town hall is a public location. The library is a public location. Again, we do not have someone dedicated 100% of the time to do IT. I don't think the town people want us to spend the money. Yeah, but you get my point. I understand what you're saying, but same thing with the meeting on Friday. Okay, you have some other.
Yes, the February 4th non-public meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
That is the February 5th public bond public bond hearing minute.
I move like to this presented.
All in favor?
That was the bond portion that after the public hearing for the budget.
Yeah.
I'd also like to ask, are you gonna list all those meetings on town management page like you usually do?
Rob, you'll have an opportunity to speak in public.
Okay, just be top. Well,
Next up is the February 6th, 2026 public meeting minutes.
motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, the February 6th, 2026 non-public meeting.
Motion to this presented.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is the sign various paperwork. We have ambulance service contracts. First up is Guildhall for $19,650.
Just a week like a calendar somewhere that.
Yes. Yep.
November.
November. Yep.
Take one.
We also have an ambulance service contract for Lunenburg for $93,450. And also a ambulance service contract for Jefferson for $78,255.
This one's paid within 30 days, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
We have a non-mutual aid member contract for Guildhall for $4,000 for repayment. And we have a 2026 general assessing services agreement with Jason Paul. Our pickup value should be delivered to us by October 27th, 2026. And there are similar, fees associated with any late delivery.
And that was October 27th.
It's a Tuesday. Yeah, we went back and forth.
I'm very happy with the date. Jerry, you good with the date?
Yeah.
Okay. This is gonna
We tried to
earlier
get it
than
earlier.
others.
Yeah.
Start freaking more each year.
There's also an intent to cut for Keith and Mary Beth Johnson, tax map R12, lot 9.
Each.
One page. Yes.
Yeah, the other part is for me when billing happens.
Yeah. Robin, anything under new business?
So, today Jessica and I listened to, call regarding the congressional direct spending. So basically, I just wanted to let you know that March, 6th is the deadline. Why we really need to make some decisions, whether we're going to submit, is we have to have the letters of recommendation from our representatives or Senate or whatever to go in with these. It's like pulling teeth. So typically, I've always found that if I write the letter and send it to them, they'll edit it as they need and, sign it, but, I know for, for Grafton, I've got 6 applications going in, so, good luck. No, I really want to think about, there's equipment that we need. I know that we've been talking about the tanker needing to be, replaced. That's something that's covered under, the Department of Agriculture. So if we could get some quotes on that but we still need, a match for the Department of Ag. And that's probably going to be the bigger issue, is finding match for basically what you call a shovel-ready type of project. Like what's shovel ready? What do we have that's shovel ready? Nothing infrastructure-wise that I know
Won't give us money for that. I'm
of.
Well, we have,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we're all set with that because we got the MBRC grant to match congressional direct. But there's other infrastructure problems, and when you think about the asset management plan and what has priorities, they're big tickets. The wastewater treatment facility is something that's gonna be sooner rather than later, and that's millions. And we don't have, we need to start setting aside a match for that,
Is match 20%?
20%.
It was really great to listen to the call earlier.
Yeah,
And it gave a list of the number of programs and what was eligible under each of those programs.
and there are a couple of departments that don't require match. It was just, didn't apply to anything that we would want to have, but, they are gonna send the recording, so if you want me to forward that so that you can listen to it, okay.
So what we apply for now, not gonna be this year, but with, that.
Yes, because this is the 2027 round. So, we would apply. And then at the time of award, we basically have to at least put in a letter of intent to match. And then that next town meeting, get the commitment on it.
When is
probably, well, March 6th of this year, but yeah, but I say shovel ready. If it's something that could go in the ground by December 31st of this year, and that's just the reality of things, then I think that it's something that could be put in.
Box culverts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, it will,
Thieves in town.
Do we have to have an engineer to determine that taking out the bridge is okay?
It's not bridge, it's culverts.
Oh, it's curb and cover?
Plannings and rebuilding.
So she'll call McGarry in a bridge.
Yeah, that's why I say to go with the culvert instead of the bridge.
So I think they said that the minimum amount of money to ask for would be 100,000. So you're beyond that. So whether it's an email or you talk to Jessica, I was kind of hoping to get Timmy and Tim Brown together and have, a spitballing session and maybe outline some to do in order.
We can probably have that meeting as early as tomorrow,
Yeah.
right after the department head meeting. Is that a lot?
Sure.
Good.
Thank
I'm
you.
done. Thank you.
Next up on new business, actions on the bicycle ordinance or discussion.
Everybody think about license.
did. Everything that stuck out as objectionable on it. Yeah, and I do understand the concern with young kids on bikes and generally not centered on young kids riding their bikes with their parents walking next to them. It's adult.
I'm still not clear on whether the, hoverboards or skateboards fall within this, even though they're not listed. Should we add those and segue like
I tend to think the hover might, but then again, we can't make a law that's not within state law. So I'm not sure the hoverboards are covered under the state RSA. They are motorized. But we would have to find out if the skateboard. I believe is.
Well, skateboard's listed.
Yeah, that used to be on the sign.
Yeah,
It's still, yeah, it's in the original bicycle ordinance.
it's listed, okay.
Yeah. And expanding it down to Centennial Park with the number of activities that have been going on in Centennial Park. Whether we like them or not. Increase the pedestrian traffic there a great deal.
Yeah.
The amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I can make it. I'll make a motion. The vice. Does present it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Feelings on that? So,
Stopping, skin down,
yeah,
working.
Okay.
We get this one right. Yeah. This one, I thought Adam had a good catch on that section 8A, changing the word from roadway to curb. Maybe that's much clearer.
I understand Melissa's comments about how the violations are subjective. I don't know what else we call it in the category. It seems like it's pretty, lengthy category.
I guess I do understand what you were saying, but almost any law or RSA
That's all they
is subject to some, you know,
produces itself.
I mean, it's also up to discretion of whoever's enforcing it somewhat. The, can make that wording change. Now, on current. Yeah,
Different place.
I mean, it's still, I guess, I'll bring it up now. It's happened a few more times this winter. Is we have an issue on Summer Street down near Middle Street where people continuously park and they can be 2 inches from the curb. Road is not wide enough to park at the curb. Even in the summertime, and the first time I brought it up was several years ago, I got stuck, and there was a kid riding a bicycle, and lady pushing the baby carriage, and a car coming, and her parked basically on both sides of the Summer Street, and you come in, weaving in and out. Even if they park close enough to the curb there's an issue. I believe that somewhere it says there's no parking on that street.
Don't know how to address the Main Street parking situation for the emergence tonight. Don't know if that's the kind of thing where we move this forward and we know that in 2026 we have to work on that to make a bed that next year. We know this needs work.
Yeah, that's not.
No. But seeking money for a town-wide parking study, I was excited, you know.
Yeah.
To start, we got some data. We know there is an issue. Otherwise,
Well, we can amend that.
after, look over the hearing.
We're not gonna amend
It's 90% good, and then make adjustments if we get more information.
And in the understanding that we're gonna have to work on that, I'll make a motion to approve the parking ordinance as presented tonight.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other new business? That's just the page beside that. Can I ask a clarifying question? You made the motion that, yes, with the stipulation that they'll work on the parking situation on Main Street or the roadway curbside thing?
I think it's,
Was it the parking on Main Street? Oh, okay. I just,
we just know that this ordinance is probably 90% of where we gotta get. So it's an improvement, and we know we have issues that this ordinance covers, so we can start addressing those issues.
thank you. Thank you. All right, in old business this evening, I have the 2023 town meeting warrant. I'm just looking to see if there's specific articles that you wish to speak about in kind of doing the script last year, how you each kind of presented on things. So, have any feelings? Otherwise, I will randomly.
You'll do a randomized.
Yeah, randomly.
Randomized is fine with me. That's generally how it's going.
Okay. Fine. Easy peasy, all right. Randomizing tomorrow.
Okay.
Get you to say all the things. Next up, yes, oh, do they?
Do they have, yeah, that's the biggest deal.
That's much bigger.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I can
Oh,
randomize our free will,
Motion.
you know.
Next up, select board member reports.
Have nothing.
Gonna say, still working on contacts with the Museum of World War II vehicles, try to get new rims and tires, cannons for the park. And really want to get it back in there. Fourth of July this year. I don't know, I would ask, I don't know if you could look at what maybe putting a cement pad there, so it's not sitting on the ground, it's sitting on a cement pad when we bring it back.
I believe there was also, there were 3 benches around the monument, and I think there's only 2. I think the third one had fallen or something, right? We removed it in the back. So just looking to you whether or not we should spend time to try and hurry up and get that completed before the summertime, or.
The only one that I know that's fairly local is Nomando. And, I think it would be worthwhile to approach them and find out what replacement would cost. And try to make that look as best as possible, if you want to.
The timeline. Yeah, children.
Next up is the town manager report. I had no welfare awards since February 22nd. I did have 2 inquiries. I had my representative from Homeland Security and Emergency Management, New Hampshire, in my office on February 6th for most of the day to finalize some paperwork for our 2025 repairs from our 2024 storm. Our 2024 dollars are indeed on hold for the moment based on the things that are going on in Washington. So we're still in a holding pattern. We met with Jim from Weston and Sampson regarding our Summer Street project. We're going to start some public outreach regarding the project and more information to come soon. I did some onboarding with the Genesis alert system. This is New Hampshire Alert. We're moving forward with the system and hope to train all internal town of Lancaster users within the next few months. It's a state system that if you're within a geographical range, a municipal fire can send out an emergency alert based on road closures or conditions. They're meant for emergencies, not for And that is it from me. Information for you this evening, there is a zoning board meeting notice on February 25th for February 25th, 2026 at 6:30. There's also a zoning board of adjustment notice of decision for COP tax map P14 lot 34. And there are 2 land use permits for Charles and Marlene Cotton at 151 Reed Road, as well as Beverly Nash for Verizon Wireless at 215 Prospect Street. Next up this evening is public comments.
Yeah, I believe it's about solar panels that were installed on my roof. I do not own those solar panels. I'm in a dispute with the installer to get them removed at this point. So I don't know what relevance that.
Do you have any, date for the small claims court for Troy? Was settled a long time ago and payments are coming in as court ordered. That's nice to know. That's nice to know.
What was the term for that? He just pays over time or?
I don't know the particular term, but all I know is this case was settled and the terms are being met.
Good, thank you.
Oh, the terms were round one, and he is reimbursing on he was thought. Actually, believe they came to a settlement, not. With. Nice to know what's up. Like that, the only thing I know is settled and terms are being met. The details for us for the next meeting, please. You can try, yeah.
Wanted to review, first of all, about the adequate notice for a meeting. And I'll just read the statute. It's 91A2, Roman numeral 2, and it says, except an emergency was when there's a meeting of a legislative committee, a notice of time and place of each meeting, including a non-public session, shall be posted in 2 appropriate places, one of which may be a notice of each meeting, and at the 2 appropriate places, one of which may be the public body's internet website, if such exists, or shall be printed in a newspaper of general circulation in the city or town, at least 24 hours, except Sundays or legal holidays prior to such meetings. In other words, you can't just put one at the library and one at the town office.
I think you're misreading that. Again, may.
No, it says shall. I'm sorry, it says shall.
It says shall be in 2 public locations. Town hall is one. The library is one.
Shall be printed in a newspaper of general circulation. That's the rule.
So you're telling us we gotta wait a week before we can have a meeting?
No, 24 hours notice has to be put.
In 2 public places.
You can put it
In
no
public places. If you have to have it in a newspaper, a local newspaper, which newspaper is gonna publish it within 24 hours?
There's an alternative. If you can't get that.
The alternative is
Put it on the
2
website.
public locations,
No.
town hall, library.
I'm sorry.
It may be the website. It does not say it shall be the website. Don't tell me it says it shall be the
It does
website.
not say shall be the website.
Okay,
It says,
may.
it says one of which may be or shall be printed. So if you put it on the website, you're covered. There's no problem. If you're having a meeting on Wednesday and you get the notice in there on Tuesday,
Okay,
you're
it
covered.
says may.
It says shall. I'm sorry, look it up. But anyway,
You're misinterpreting it because that's what you want it to say.
no, I'm reading it directly
It's
off the
there.
RSA.
2 public locations, at least 24 hours. Those public locations have consistently been the town hall and the library. That's been for probably 60 years.
Well, maybe it was revised, because it doesn't say, it says two appropriate places. And one of which may be the website, if you have one,
One
or it
which
shall be
may,
printed, so.
one of which may be
Shall. Right, okay, the point is, there was a meeting on Wednesday and nobody knew about it, and I found out about it when I saw the deal about approving the minutes. I looked on the calendar, I looked on the reticent notices, I didn't see it anywhere. It just, and that's just my comment. Maybe I'm wrong, that's my comment. So, I would appreciate, and the other thing is that several people have contacted me asking me if I'm receiving the resident notices emails anymore, because they say they are not, and frankly, I haven't received them for some time either. I think the general principle behind this notification is that it's consistent. Now, if you want to split hairs, and the whole idea is, I know you guys aren't doing anything that you don't want the light of day to shine on, but we have the privilege of coming if we want, and it has to be noticed if you want to make it an actionable item, because if it's not properly noticed, then it's not enforceable. I mean, that's just, yeah, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying, I noticed this time, we come up with that inadequate meeting notice for 2 meetings, okay? And so, I would also like to,
Rob, your 3 minutes are up.
well, I'm not done, thank you. I would like to,
Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
That's something, I'm sorry, you asked, minimum of 24 hours, not including Sundays or holidays, either published in the local newspaper, posted to common places, like the town office and the library.
I just didn't see that. If you're right, you're right, but I'm looking at, are you looking at 91A, yes, 2:2?
Yes, direction, directed in the action of the schools, that's
Me too, so. For the state. Okay, well, anyway, you get the point.
Thank you. Is there anything else from the public? I'm seeing none.
So,
Yeah,
can I have another 3 minutes, please?
I'll give you a minute.
My name was in the paper as having raised the issue of personnel certification. I don't want to talk about individual people, I want to talk about the principal. The police policy and training standards says that the hiring authority is responsible for making sure the certifications are okay. Usually that's the chief of police, but if it was the chief of police, that would mean you people. So have you been able to communicate with the state police regulatory standards and training body about this? Because the Caledonian article was all about what a person said about their situation. It didn't say much of anything about the town policy, and my whole deal is, if we're paying somebody an executive salary and their duties are way curtailed, do we still pay them the full, are they on full salary now?
again, personnel issues cannot be discussed in a public meeting without the permission of the person that you're speaking to. All I will say is the town has handled it in the correct manner, and we are progressing to a solution.
That's great, and it's not personal. Lord knows I couldn't pass the physical test. So, but when I was an RN, if my certification lapsed and you have to renew it, they escorted you right off the premises and you didn't get paid because there was a big liability. And thank you, I think the town adequately protected from liability in this case.
Is there anybody else?
Now, after the small claim deal, I'm kind of disappointed in the board that you didn't bring this to light when you did get a decision. It is public. Nothing that should be non-public about that. You decided in the public session to pursue the small claims court for the amount of money due, and I think it should have been brought up
not in the back room between the three of you, but should have brought up in the public meeting that the thing went forth that you won, if you did win. Now it seems like you don't know if you won, you don't know how much you won, you don't know what the year. I think that you should know that.
That's not what was said, I just don't know the exact terms. And I discussed at a meeting that there was a settlement reached and
I don't miss very many meetings.
I mean, it would have been a short conversation, but what do you go, okay, there was a settlement reached and it's going to be pending.
I'd like for one, like to see the know that you get to get the full amount, that you are getting the payments and blah, 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 blah. Public knowledge, and I think just swept it under the rug, I'm sorry. Don't think it's properly.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second, no.
All in favor? Aye.
What the door?